strawberries in the hope that maybe you could do this for your mom or with your mom for Mother's Day. But I have to tell you a couple little things about the video first. So when I'm doing the video, you know, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so sometimes I kind of do things out of order, so I'm going to tell you how I messed up when I was making that video. Okay, so one thing I did in the video is I showed you the toppings kind of in the middle that you can put on your chocolate covered strawberries. You kind of dip it in there. It might be better to get all those toppings ready ahead of time. So in the video, I used toasted coconut, I used smushed up graham crackers, and I used, sprinkles. But I gave you a list on the recipe of things that you can use. So you might want to get whatever toppings you're going to use ready first. So when you watch the video, you might want to skip to the middle and see what I'm doing with those before you actually start. The other thing is, when I was making it, I didn't really know exactly how many strawberries it was going to make. But on the recipe that I put here on the page, I put what I ended up with. I ended up with about 14 strawberries, and you use 1 cup of chocolate chips and 2 teaspoons of oil. If you'd like to do it like I did, you can start off with a half a cup of chocolate chips and a teaspoon of oil and just see if that's enough, and then make more. Or you can go ahead and just double it and do 1 cup of chocolate chips and 2 teaspoons of oil. If you know you're going to do 14 or more strawberries. I probably could have made more. I probably could have made about 18 or 20 strawberries with 1 cup. So just the only thing you have to think about is if you're going to have enough chocolate to cover all the strawberries you have. And I just don't like to waste, so I don't like to have a whole bunch left over. It's not a big deal if there's a little bit left over, but you know, I just don't like to waste things by having a lot left over. So anyway, those are a couple tips before you start, and I'll just have to tell you, they tasted really good. So I hope you enjoy this video, and here I am.
Hello boys and girls, this is Mrs. Bollinger here for Cooking with Mrs. Bollinger. Now today I'm going to show you how to make chocolate covered strawberries. I thought that might be something nice to make for your mother for Mother's Day, and then you get to try some too. Now actually I went online today and I looked at Sherry's Berries, and they do chocolate covered strawberries and they ship them to you, and you can get 12 of those for $50. Wow. Now you can make this for less than $10. So I'm going to show you how, and I'm a mom, so I guess I'm thinking maybe my kids will watch this video and make me some for Mother's Day. So let's start out by showing you what you need. Of course you need some strawberries. Now I got these at Sam's Club. You don't need this many. You don't need this big box. You can do as many as you want, but the recipe, I guess we'll see how many the recipe has enough for by the end of it, because sometimes I'll see it on the recipe and it won't make as many as it says. So we'll see how many it makes, and then I'll be able to tell you at the end how many strawberries you need, or if you need to double it if you want to do more. But try to find some nice, big, juicy strawberries, and we're really lucky in California because we do have some nice strawberries, especially this time of year. You got to get them in season, and this is the season. So you need your strawberries, and then you can use a couple of different things. You can get candy melts that are used for baking if you want, and if you do that, all you have to do is melt them. But I'm going to show you how to do it with chocolate chips in case you already have chocolate chips at home. Now there's fancier chocolate that you can get if you want, but I'm one of those people that I usually just use what I already have at home. So even if you had a chocolate bar or some other kind of chocolate, you can melt that and make this. Oh, and by the way, I got this idea from Zaya, who's in my class. She made chocolate covered strawberries during this quarantine. Now, if you're using regular chocolate chips and not special melting chocolate, you're going to add a little bit of oil to this. You could add coconut oil, this is vegetable oil, you could add shortening, but something that's oil. I wouldn't really use olive oil because that has a kind of a distinct taste. But you're just going to add a little bit of that to help with melting the chocolate. The hardest part is melting the chocolate so you don't get it too done, and it'll get kind of thick, and you can actually burn it if you're not careful. Okay, so we're gonna try this. The first thing you're gonna do is start with the strawberries, and you need to wash them really well and dry them. That's the key. You have to dry them. If you don't dry them, then the chocolate will not stick and it'll end up funny. So I'm gonna show you how to wash the strawberries and dry them nicely. Okay, so I'm gonna wash the strawberries. I'm gonna use a colander so the water goes out. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look through, and if they're extra ripe, like this one has a couple of bad spots, I'm not gonna use that one. I can cut off the bad spot and eat that, no problem, but I wanna kind of look through and see if these strawberries are nice. Okay, and I wanna choose, oh, that one's actually bad. I gotta throw that one out. Okay, so I'm gonna go through and look at the strawberries and get some nice ones. Okay, you can stop. I'm gonna wash these with cold water. Oh, it's so hot today that the water's getting hot. Let me make sure it's cold water. There we go. That's better. And I'm gonna wash them really well. I picked out 14 berries. I tried to pick out the big ones, and we'll see if this makes enough to do 14 berries. Okay, so I washed them really well, and now I have to dry them. I put a towel here, just a kitchen towel, and I'm gonna take the berries out and put them on the towel, and then I'm gonna dry them with a paper towel. And this may seem like, oh man, this is kind of overkill, but this will really make or break your chocolate covered strawberries if I get them all the way dry. Okay, so I'm gonna take my paper towel, and I'm just gonna, one at a time, gently, because I don't wanna damage the berries, I'm just gonna gently dry them. You get the idea. So here are my dried strawberries. Now it's time to put it in the microwave. And this is where it gets tricky. You cannot cook it on high when you're doing chocolate. What happens when you do it on high is it's gonna burn and it's gonna get really hard and it won't taste good. So you have to figure out how to make your microwave go at 50% power or a lower power. And we're gonna do this for about 30 seconds at a time, and then we're gonna take it out and stir it. And it's gonna seem a little bit monotonous because you're gonna be like, oh, maybe I can just put it in for a minute, it'll be fine. But if you do that, you could very well burn it, because what you have to do is you melt it for a little bit and then you stir it, and you melt it and you stir it. Because what's gonna happen is when you start melting it, the chocolate chips are gonna look like they're not melted. They're gonna keep their shape, and then once you stir, it will start getting liquidy. So you can't really tell just by looking at it if your chocolate chips are melted or not. Your parents are gonna have to help you figure out your microwave. But on mine, the button where it says power, if I push that, I'll see 10. That means high. If I keep pushing it, I'm gonna get to 5, which would be half power. So I'm gonna use that setting. Now every microwave is different, so it's not necessarily gonna be the same on yours. Get your parents to help you. The other thing I need to tell you about a microwave is you can't just turn it on and walk in the other room or go play in the backyard and think, oh, I set the timer, it'll stop. And this is why. I've done this before. I thought I put 30 seconds in, and you know what I actually definitely did? I did 30 minutes. If my microwave goes for 30 minutes with this in it, it could actually cause a fire. So don't walk away from your microwave. Now, I don't mean, you shouldn't just stand here and watch it. You can come over here on the other side and start working on the next part of the recipe. That's totally fine. But don't just leave and forget about it. So I put mine for 30 seconds, and I'm gonna see what happens. So I'm gonna come over to the other side of the kitchen, but I'm not walking away. That's not cheating. I know it seems like forever when you're waiting. Okay. So let me see what's happened. Okay, do you see how it started melting a little bit? So it is melting a little bit, but that's not enough. So I'm gonna put it in again and do the same thing. If it's getting close, I might not even do 30 seconds. I might only do 15 seconds. But I'm gonna try it again. And this microwave, I have to put it back to half power. And do 30 seconds. Okay. Okay, the bowl is really hot, so be careful when you take it out. The top of the bowl wasn't too bad. Okay, so I'm gonna stir it up. This is actually pretty good. Okay, now I was reading somewhere that the chocolate turns out better if you temper it. Okay, and what that means is, once you've heated it up, you're gonna throw in a few more chocolate chips. Let's try this. And that will cool it down so that the chocolate's not too hot. Okay, let's see if that's smooth enough. That looks pretty good. If it wasn't smooth enough, I could put it in for a little bit longer, but I think that's pretty good. Now, as you're working, this could start to get hard, and you can always melt it a little bit more in the microwave again. I like to use parchment paper or wax paper on my plate, because otherwise they'll tend to really stick. And so you can put it on a plate or a platter as you go. So I'm just gonna take a strawberry and I'm gonna kind of dip it in, and I like to just this looks kind of uncoordinated the way I'm doing it, but just kind of get the chocolate on there. And then you don't want too much and then on it to pool, but you do that. Okay, so let's do a couple, and then I'm going to show you some toppings you can use. Now when you do the toppings, it's not actually a topping. You're going to dip it in the bottom of it or sprinkle it on there. You need to do it while the chocolate is still melted. So we'll go to that, and then we'll come back and do a little bit more. Toppings that I'm going to use, and I'm going to give you a list of toppings in the recipe. So I have some sprinkles, that'll be fun, and this is one you might not have thought of. I have some shredded coconut, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to toast it in the toaster oven, and I think people are either like coconut lovers or coconut haters. That's my philosophy at least. But once the coconut is toasted, you're going to love it. Just trust me. It's not going to taste like coconut. It's going to be, it's just really good. So I'm just gonna put this pan in my toaster oven and toast it like I'm doing toast, and just kind of watch it and make sure it doesn't get toppings. I just pour it on a small plate and kind of spread it out, because I'm gonna need to dip it in there. Okay, so I'm gonna do another strawberry. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to dip it in the sprinkles. And you can put as much or as little as you want, and then leave it there. That was kind of a lot. I don't know if you want to put that much. It's up to you, whatever you like. You can just do the very bottom if you want, or you can do a lot. But I think the sprinkles make it look kind of fancy. And anyway, there you go. And if it doesn't work, you can kind of use your fingers and sprinkle it like that too. Okay, there we go. Let me show you something that's kind of fun with the topping. If you want to break them up smaller, what I do is I take a hammer. Now this is a kitchen hammer, but you could even take a regular hammer, and I put the item in a baggie. Like you could take your nuts, or you could take your graham crackers, and then you just kind of hammer them. Now I'm putting extra towels on my counter so I don't damage my counter, and I'm not hitting it as hard as I can. I'm just gently tapping, and I'm crunching all of those up without hardly any effort. Now I have to admit, these got away from me a little bit. Let me see how. You could do them a little less toasty. No, it's still good. Maybe a tad less toasty. Unfortunately, I was trying to do too many things at once. I was trying to do the graham crackers and this at the same time. I think a better method would be if you get all your toppings ready first and then do it. So I kind of did this in the wrong order. So I will save you from making the same mistake. Get all your toppings ready first before you melt the chocolate. Okay, so I'm gonna see if this chocolate is still smooth. Hey, it's still smooth enough, even though I've dilly-dallied and wasted time here. If you do it all at once, it'll work out better. Okay, so I'm gonna dip it in again. I can tell this is not gonna be enough chocolate. So probably what we're gonna do, if you wanna do about a dozen, you're gonna do a cup of chocolate chips. So I'll change that on the recipe for you. So it'll be a cup of chocolate chips. Okay, and there are the toasted coconuts. And then if you wanna do the graham crackers, I'll show you what that looks like. But obviously you can use whatever toppings you want when you're done, or no toppings at all if you just want to do chocolate. Now what some people do is they'll get like a white chocolate, and then they'll put it in a Ziploc baggie and cut the corner off after they've melted it, and then kind of drizzle it on top. But I don't have any white chocolate, so I can't do that right now. Okay, so that's the graham crackers. And I guess we'll have to try them and see which ones we like. Now, it's been a few hours. I put these in the fridge so that they would get nice and firm. You don't have to put them in the fridge that long, but I went ahead and left them till after dinner. Now, if you want to be fancy, you could take some little mini cupcake holders and put them in there and be very fancy. So now I'm going to let my family members try them. Okay, guys, which one do you want to try?
Can I
I'm
get
gonna try one.
this one?
Yeah, so go ahead and try one. Anybody want to try one?
I'll try the sprinkle.
You want to try one, Darcy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mmm,
What do you think?
top notch. Wow, they're really good.
So this is what I want for Mother's Day, guys.
Mm-hmm.